All right, so what we learned today, um, interesting for, and again, just the highlights. If you're losing smell or taste, it's usually due to viral infection, so it's going to be down here. And sometimes it can be sudden. Apparently, how it affects the vagus nerve, but not only that, how the virus affects the brain. And then less so, but still quite a bit of patients, MS, and finally ALS, which is actually very rare. So it's something to do with the brain, and maybe the brain and vagus, and less with motor neurons. So that's cool. Because if you do recover from those, you have, this is what normally happens, and you actually show up to 50% gastric secretion reduced. So that could mean, and secretions are extremely beneficial for digestion. That could mean not up to 50%, but a very strong reduction in digestive burden. So you should see an improvement. Here's quite a bit, up to even close to 50% here for some conditions. And I would say this is actually pretty low, because having experienced it myself, if you get your taste and smell back and strong, so there's a spectrum, so it's not whether you have it or not, it's very strong. And actually, interestingly enough, the older you get, it slowly starts to whittle away. But if you have a dysfunction to where you don't have it at all, and then all of a sudden you start doing some of the things like fasting, holding sticks if it's a nervous issue, and then also like eating a ketogenic diet, things like that, and part of that helps you get back that nerve function. And you're also focusing on the vagus nerve with vagal exercises. Those vagal exercises might give you a glimpse, but if you kind of re-trigger the vagus nerve, and we'll get into that continuously, you actually get that sense of smell and taste back, and it kind of spans all. There's images online, but it goes all the way from your nose, mouth, through your, kind of the brain, down to really your rectum. Like, it's pretty close there. So it spans all of that, and I can tell you, not only do you want to eat more afterwards, it feels great. Some of the things that, like, laughing would make you maybe a little uneasy, queasy. Laughing is great. It actually does the opposite. So it feels like the more vagal tone you have and the more vagus nerve, especially when it's constant and this passive, like a healthy adult, it significantly builds. So it's a huge compounding effect, which is excellent, because for this, I can tell you, it's not less than 5%, 10% impact. It is like, we might be talking like magnitude, like 100, 200%. It does wonders. It pretty much flips a bunch of the bad feelings that you're having from laughing, talking, eating, even anticipating eating, into good. Like, everything is like just kind of works from the parasympathetic, which is not a surprise. And again, I disagree with this, because we know the parasympathetic response and the vagus nerve is imperative for structure and motility, so it recovers any damages faster, and we'll get to that. And it also enhances motility. And so, yeah, these are, if anything, an understatement. So, jumping into this, I'm going to move that just so we can see. So, we're going to jump around a little bit, but just to stay on the vagus. So here, how vagus does help with structural repair, not only for the gut repair, which is kind of what this individual talks about, Dr. Jamnadas, as well as I think Huberman it talks about that as well, how it actually heals the gut specifically through the firings. And here you can see there were a few research studies, but bottom line, it helped in even this normal 4-limb withdrawal thresholds. So this is 4 limbs. If you activate the vagus in the middle, yes, you're helping your forearms, which is incredible, right? And then it also helps in, obviously, the CNS for stroke victims, but all the movement. So even throughout, like walking, would be helped by the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve does some signaling outside of just, hey, here's my digestive system, the heart, etc., which is cool. Now, how? You're wondering, like, what exactly is optimal? These VNS protocols, they deliver a shock to you. It's a minor shock, but these have been proven most effective. I've seen some 90 to 100% in depression trials that have a significant effect. We're talking, for most of the time, it cures depression. Translation of this is, it's pretty quick, so it's 20-30 times a second. And then the pulse amplitude would be, and here's a good way to, I think we look, yeah, so you have your, let me make this smaller. So this is like, if I give a pulse, let's say it's really hard, it would be up here. If it's softly felt, it's here for a certain amount of time, and then I'm going to give that several times a second. So if you can imagine, it will be like, right? Which is pretty much how your nerves function. Sensory nerves, autonomic nerves, they're constantly firing at a low rate, but they do fire. So that's apparently what gives the best results, which mirrors natural. If you lose that natural, you can gain it back. If you do kind of the things we've been talking about in the videos, but that I mentioned in this video, you will just gain back nerve function, feeling the nerve, and then you can kind of be that muscle grid, muscle flex. And if you do that on the vagus nerve, focusing on all that and flexing, that's the best. Like, it's better than things like humming, laughter, deep breathing, even exercise. All of that, once you have the first, like the muscle grid, muscle flex on that vagus nerve, all those things become super amped up. It's almost like it's like the first degree, and all of those are second degrees. So yeah, it's awesome. So if we keep going here, yeah, and I think that was mainly it for vagus. Some of these are, sometimes it says, how can pathogens like ride the vagus nerve? They ride it pretty much by sitting on the outside, getting picked up, like by usually an endosome or a vesicle, and then transferred. And I don't know about an autophagosome, because those usually kill, but the other two would transport it, and they transport it pretty fast. So it's 40 centimeters a day, and so it can definitely be done in one day to reach the brain, especially if it's from the top of the stomach. And it could take 2 days if it's from, like, kind of closer to your rectum. So yeah, you can definitely get into your brain if you have leaky gut. And they found things already that are in individuals' brains, and that's because of this. And these are some of the, interestingly enough, if you have coronavirus and you're wondering, hey, I lost my sense of smell, coronavirus might trigger EBV, Epstein-Barr virus, which is part of the herpes family. And so that is interesting, right? Because that is a direct pathway, right? Okay. So that's that. All right. Now we're going to go all the way back up and do this. In Gmail, if you accidentally start typing something, like you thought your cursor was elsewhere and it's on Gmail and your conversation goes away, it's probably because you muted it. So don't panic. If you look at is muted, you can right click it and unmute it, and then go to all mail on your Gmail instead of just inbox, and you'll find it. So if you send a message on Apple, like the blue ones, you have 2 minutes to undo, 15 minutes to edit it up to 5 times. The person you're sending it to can see it, and you can see all the edits. Unless you undo, then it's retracted. Otherwise, you have to send a new message, because if you delete it on your side, it only deletes it on your side. So that trash can, yeah. We did this. So one of the things that came up is there's a lot of people on the carnivore diet that gain muscle, but don't have carbs. And there was some talk about if you don't have carbs, your muscle synthesis stops, because your mitochondria signal to your muscles, hey, we don't have food, stop protein synthesis, as well as you become insulin resistant. Now, that's not true, because the driver of protein synthesis and whether you're getting larger, both in repair of muscles and just in general, is a caloric surplus and enough protein. So if you have enough of protein, especially leucine, and we'll get to that. Actually, we can go there now. Yeah, enough leucine and enough calories, so calories are not restricted, then you will have a good metabolic rate. So same metabolic rate, you will actually undergo muscle protein synthesis. You will gain muscle and gain weight. And you will not slow your metabolic rate. It's only if these are true, and usually your thyroid is fine, if you're getting iodine and you don't have any other autoimmune issues, and if you do and heal them, you're fine. Body fat, this is pretty rare, especially if you're getting a lot of calories, and if you're getting a lot of calories. So this is pretty rare on a carnivore diet. Again, carnivore has a whole sorts of across the board, like, not great things for it, especially long term, but even short term. Yeah, but it is cool to study it and see, hey, what are some good things we can take from it, like we found out from it. And like, again, anything in excess will obviously have a higher fasting glucose and insulin, because protein does stimulate muscle protein synthesis via insulin release, so it's enough to release insulin. I think that's down, yeah, here. So you don't need carbs if you're getting enough. Okay, so that's cool. Let's go down. If you're on WhisperFlow, the first time I installed it, I kept getting this error message and nothing was loading on the transcript. Like, it was almost at 0 days of the free trial. I was like, oh my god, my free trial will stay at 0 days. It doesn't. The moment you close it and open it, you stop getting the error message down here every time you record something, and you start racking up those days. And again, that's going to happen on your computer restart, which is more important, right? Because you want updates to finish for security reasons, so you won't have an unlimited free trial. But you can use it a lot, and so far they seem to be giving me at least a day of extra. So we'll see. It's cool. Whisper, totally worth it. Totally worth it, by the way. Just in case like this doesn't work, Whisper's got me covered. So, which is pretty safe. Yeah, probably. We'll see if I get it, but probably gonna get it. Yeah, interesting. Arteries. So arteries is like away. Vena is like come. So one is away, one is come towards the heart, and that is similar to this anterograde is again away from the brain, and retro is towards the brain. And also dynan is for movement, and kinesin, or dynan is for power, kinesin is for movement. So anyways, I thought those were related. Interestingly, that's the opposite of brain afferent versus efferent, which is afferent, it means arrives at the brain, and efferent, it means leaving the brain. So 2 and 1, I guess. Sometimes it helps a lot, just seeing which ones are related and which ones complete opposite. It actually does help, just remembering. So here are, this is a good, let me see, so endosome, vesicles, this one moves between cells, this one is in the cell, it's like we got something. Autophagosome is like double membrane to kill whatever's in it, and trash. So those are the main differences. Yeah, this is what we were talking about. It can extend. This is the total. It's like a meter total in length from all the way up tip-top brain to down to the rectum. And then yeah. So as you can probably tell from the other videos, I love fermentation. Fermentation is freaking amazing. And one of the all-time greats, which is Sandor Katz, he has a book. It's on archive. Archive does not mean it's legal to download the full copy. If you go and look at it, technically I think you're somewhat downloading it, like if you're getting the bytes from the web server to your local computer, but really it's if you download it, and really where the legality starts coming in, because it's not like 0 or 1, is when you try to redistribute it, especially for financial gain, then it becomes criminal. But the best is just to buy it, right? Like on ebooks, and we'll get to that. To summarize, here they usually, in the meta, they usually put the license data. If they don't have it, probably not free. And in ebooks, you can get a PDF, and PDF is the best structurally. So this is what it looks like. It's amazing. I'm listening to it through Spotify Premium. But here, you can buy it and do a PDF. It will be DRM protected, and you can take excerpts from there and load them into ChatGPT if you want an analysis. Like, hey, out of this, these few paragraphs, what are the best ferment tips? Summarize in 2 sentences. You can't upload the full book, but the best is to buy it from ebooks, PDF, and then upload. And that's option B, realistically, if you're looking to use AI, which is cool. So, and this is kind of what they can, like if it's civil, the worst case is you could pay it's a lot, it's like $350,000. But the worst case for criminal is you go to jail for 5 years and you get to pay around $300,000. So, yeah. Wine aging. Yeah, so here, so the difference between wine and vinegar is vinegar you don't let Acetobacter in. Oh, sorry, you do let Acetobacter in. So you pretty much expose it to air. This one you don't expose it to air. And there you go. That's how you age wine, and you keep the alcohol. And this is how you take all the alcohol away from it. Simplify. So here is something interesting. Saturated fats, anything with brain, nervous system, there's something going on with limiting saturated fats is good. I'm not saying cut them out, just limiting, especially animal ones. And you can see here, so Terry doesn't, but she says you want it typically from whole food, and this is for ketosis, but here you can see the things that for, APO4 Alzheimer's, they restrict saturated fats, including coconut oil. Now the actual coconut itself is much lower, obviously, which is good. You can see here even macadamia nuts have some Brazil, and they're like Dr. Stephen Gundry does recommend these. Maybe to limit them, so not completely eliminate them, but limit them, so the lower. And you can. There's also a relation to Crohn, so there's something going on with the vagus, brain, nerves, where higher saturated fats, especially animals, not to mention animals, because those are horrific for inflammation, which probably plays a role, but even for like just nerve disease in general. But saturated fats also, because you can see that they happen to appear on this list. Some of the things that usually, it's because these are cacao, these are coconut. So again, so limiting but not eliminating, especially if they're fermented. The fermented helps in its own way, and some of these are fermented, like cacao is, and good quality cacao, and then also fermented like coconut yogurt, things like that. So you might be doing more harm than good as long as it's moderation, not over the top. Because there is in another video, or definitely in another chat, we looked at why, and it's because the body cannot handle it as well. There's a delay in kind of shuttling it out, or pretty much disposing of it, especially in those that are APOE4. I think there's 2, 3, 4, and the 4 is definitely the highest in terms of burden to shuffle it out, to pretty much get rid of the excess. So probably there's something there. Anyways, and yeah, you can see here there's what we talked about. And some of these, again, if it's fermented, you might get a lot of these. So a lot of these, yeah. And again, you might modulate the microbiome, so it's kind of when you're talking about super healthy foods like this, again, in low quantities, I think it's healthy. In high quantities, it is not, especially with Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, MS, etc. I think there's, so here's a quick summary of this is the Dr. Roy Swank, the other individual. He says saturated fat from animal foods, cutting out all of them, has been shown to be the most successful treatment for MS, which, again, based on everything we saw, totally get it. And I can tell you from my experience, and any nerve issues, definitely helps a lot, for sure. So, but even for plant-based, which are healthy, I would just limit, not cut them up. Okay, we said that. On Steam, so cool thing, on Steam, if you set your age, if you get a pop-up and you're like, age to view the latest game, whatever, and you set your age, it will save it. So if you X out of Steam completely, like down here at the tray, you X it out, restart it, you actually, it persists next time. So when you go back, all you have to do is click the button, because your age is already set. It's cool. That we didn't do. And then out of these, we will... Let's see. This is Huberman. Did we learn anything cool? Okay, the cool thing about this individual, so Dr. Jamnados, he said you can, if you heal the vagus, you can heal the gut, and if you can heal the gut, you can heal the vagus. That's the key takeaway, which is pretty sick. And then here, says that the vagus, if you modulate it, it can heal you, it can secrete gastric enzymes, so it can help in digestion, it can help in motor function. That's awesome, right? That confirms everything we've been talking about through the ChatGPT, so that cross-validates. I love it. You know, when you get cross-validation from another individual, other sets of individuals, great. And let's see. Yeah, that's about that. So now we will go into diary. So here, some things we learned last night was that, so I get fibromyalgia pains, kind of like the whole body starts hurting a lot around at night. It's usually an hour into sleep you can really feel it. So this pleasure gut expanding kind of reversed that. So it was hurting, worse and worse pain, and then it started just reversing and kind of kept it there. Slowly reversing or steady, which is awesome. These other ones don't as much, but this the pleasure tug upwards on food, like enjoying food, even if you're just sitting there, you can still enjoy the saliva or whatever the taste. And it shoots downwards. It merges with sleep, and you feel very calm, and you can enjoy the sleep. Which reverse node makes everything kind of less bloated, even your hands and feet, if that makes sense, but doesn't really have as strong of an effect as 1, 2 in that order. And then relaxing the gut, kind of just progressive muscle relaxation, is the least effective. Yes, so this is what we were talking about the whole time, where the vagus nerve, we can now muscle grid and flex it, which is fantastic. Yeah, because it reverses. Even when I drink water and salt, usually I used to get burps or whatever. Now it's actually my gut goes inwards, flat. It's amazing. It's like on the day. It's great. And that was the main thing that changed. You can even type faster if you do that. Flex your hands. You can type faster. And again, this is probably if you're recovering from a nervous system disorder. You're like, yeah, I got you. So that's probably like the best kind of way to understand is like, yeah, you can flex, and then vagus is okay, so it's good. You can do things relatively pain-free, and then if you flex your whatever you're trying to use with the vagus at the same time, you're much faster. Always vagus first, then that second. And again, this is all because of keto and then a tight eating window. This is a tight eating window. It got tighter actually today because we had a 1 meal a day, which was 1.5 hours. So we're at 22.5 versus 1.5 fast eat window, and it feels fantastic. Also, the 1 meal a day, we just ate a lot more. So usually we would have like a serving of something and feel good, and we wouldn't go back to it, but we didn't feel satiated, so we did go back to it like 2 more times, and that happened over and over. So just larger servings, and it feels like there's a bottomless pit on there, but we did get satiated eventually, which is great. Yeah, it's kind of what we said before. There's also the calming. Oh yeah, so one thing that changes when you take a longer sip of water, it now calms even more. There's like a greater depth to the calmness than if you just take a 3-second sip. So, which is huge, because that means eating is actually calming, which is amazing. And drinking. What's this? Oh yeah. Also, you can flex the brain. So if you have a part of your brain, like I try to alternate between 4, so I'm on the back right now of my brain. Kind of you innervate it or muscle grid it, and then you flex it. And when you flex it, you can just intake so many more things quicker, and you can also. So when I take in things, I try to connect them. So like if there's, I don't know, like a weight that weighs 60 kilos, I'm like, okay, that weighs 60 kilos. Hey, I weigh 60 kilos. So in my mind, that's like that weight, and me, we're the same weight. And maybe I know some guy named Ted, I don't know, that weighs 60 kilos because he told me his weight. We would all 3 be connected, and that helps because I don't know why it like builds structure. It helps you remember things, and it's just fun. It's just cool. So if you do the muscle grid and flex on your brain, you can actually stack more things into that mental image, and more connections at once, and hold it there. Just super powerful. Yeah, and then some lessons learned here that are super important are fats are better than carbs, unsaturated fats are better than saturated fats for what we talked about, like especially monounsaturated, like avocado olives, those seem to be better than omega-3 polyunsaturated fats, than omega-6 polyunsaturated, but all of them are healthy, like if plant-based, whole, especially more than saturated fats, and then plant-based is much better than animal-based for disease. And it seems like keto and the sticks, holding the sticks, are just much better, like fasting keto and sticks, than all of these, because I've been doing all of these, but really when I started doing this took off. So it has to do something with autophagy, pairing that with like nerve stimulation, something like that is crazy. Beneficial. So yeah, that is it. I hope that helped you a lot.